Welcome back, Strong Long fans. You better watch out, because it's Medusa time. It's another 2 males and 1 female. One of the males. He's actually wearing I don't know what it's called. It's a tuga, it's called a tuga. He's wearing a tuga, just like the megamoles, like the yellow rabbit, the megamoles. He's wearing a tuga. He's like another male skins Lunerboonie, or skins male Lunerboonie, but he's wearing a tuga over himself. And we see the only ones who are only exposing the midriff is the male on the right and the female in the middle. And then we're not done. We're not quite. But Fango, this episode, I don't know any names for these fellas. In fact, they're all green. And this episode let's say it opens with Fango, watching the news, saying that everyone, they were cheering for him. He says, what a great fight Fango was in. He just defeated the Krakens. He's just having fun with his rewards. He just likes how people just cheered for him defeating the Krakens, even though Semi-Truck City was badly destroyed, even though their important landmarks were destroyed. Let's say they didn't really care too much for their landmarks. Because Fango saved the day, and they just liked him so much that he did. And so they just wanted to cheer, they just wanted to give him a whole bunch of money. Let's say he was getting reward trophies for defeating the Lunerboonies. This one, he says, that's when we see that's when we see a Strong Long. And that's when we see Snip and Chip come over. Or Chip and Snip, or I'm not sure. I think it's Chip and Snip. Yeah, we see them come over to say hi to Fang. They say, hey Fango, you want to come see our concert? He says, I got a song. He says, I've got the best song. You're really going to like it. Fango says, oh, not now, guys, but maybe later. He says, when is it supposed to be? Oh, it's supposed to be right around maybe sometime. He doesn't know. I don't know how it's the right time. Maybe it's supposed to be right around 6 o'clock. He says, okay. That gives me enough time to watch this. After the news is over, he says, I can bring you over. And yeah, he watches till the end. He says, and then that's when he shows up. He says, that's when Hacker realizes that and after he says, oh, news is, we cut to a time card. It says 10 minutes later. That's when the news is over, and then that's when Chip and Snip says, okay, think you should come over to our house now? He says, yup, sure thing. And then that's when we got to them going outside, getting in the car, and saying, yeah. And that's when Hacker notices that the drain gate open. He sees Fango going into Chip's and Snip's car. He says, wait, Fango, I gotta tell you. He says, wait. He says, oh no, the dream gate. Fango, I gotta tell Fango. And when he says, wait a minute, Fango? He says, oh hey Hacker, I'm going over to Chip's and Snip's house. He says, Fango says, then Hacker says, wait, Fango, I gotta tell you that. Oh, but Chip and Snip takes off before Hacker could tell Fango that the dream gate opened. He says, ah, dang, it's too late now. It's kind of funny that, let's say they actually own a limousine. He says, because they're pretty rich. Let's say it's actually they're pretty rich Strong Longs. Everyone in Strong Longs is pretty darn stinking rich. Yeah. That's why Strong Longs is, another reason why Strong Longs is an awesome place, is because everybody's rich.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. And then that's when we cut to Chip's and Snip's house. That's when we cut to, let's say this battle took place in Neworth, and then that's when we see and And then that's when all of a sudden, like we see, like, and that's when we cut to the crater. Everybody's like, "Whoa, what's, and what Lunerboonie is this?" And that's when we see the 3 Medusas come out of the crater, and they like, and then we see their shadows come over the strong lungs. That's when we pan up to them. Yeah. Yeah. And then Fango, we see them. That's when we see them. Look, we pan up to them. We see that they're already getting ready to be up to no good. He says, first they try to crush strong lungs. Like, rah! we see like a few cars. Like, whoa! We see there was a pile up because there was drivers who got startled by. Like they got startled by the Medusas. And they come out of the crater, and then that's when we see them. And then they grab it, and then they grab a train and start trying to whack people with it. They go like, wow, wow, wow. It's like, and they just knock over quite a few buildings. Let's say this helicopter, like a military helicopter tries to attack them, but then they knock it to the side, and then it crashes into a clock tower, and then the tanks tries to attack them, but then they grab each train car and they grab all the tanker cars, and then they crush all the tanks. They throw them at the tanks and they all explode. They start going, like, they start whacking down structures with the train again. They even hit New Worth's left turn signal water tower ruthlessly. Like, they just brutally knock it over. They even knock over an AT&T tower that's nearby. It falls over. Or I gotta, hold on. Gotta tell myself, remember me. These are not called AT&T towers. These are called ST and V towers, which stands for Strong Lungs TV and video game. Yeah. I had to remind myself that these are called ST and V towers, not AT&T towers, because we're doing a parody of AT&T, which is ST and V. Yeah, Strong Lungs television and video games. Or it could be Strong Lungs TV and video games. Yeah, now this thing's called, they knock over a microwave tower, and it falls, and they just like saying, and then they just start destroying, and then they even throw, and that's when they throw a train, and that's when they throw the train that's when they run a tanker truck into a dome cathedral. It just, whoa! Or let's say they just knock it right into it. So let's say they just toss the train onto the ground, which runs a tanker truck into a dome cathedral, and then there's this explosion, which also. Let's say they just grab, and then they grab the tanker truck and stuff, like whoa, and then they throw the truck, and then it hits the cathedral. They are like ha ha. They give, and the whole trio gives each other a high five, and they're like this is fun. But they don't talk either. And that's when we cut to Fango arriving at Chip's and Snip's house. He says, and that's when they realize Dimey's with them. He says, this is actually going to be at Grandy's. He says, the concert's going to be at Grandy's house. He says, now what's funny is that both like Chip and Snip and Grandy wins. And they're singing, yeah. They're having a great time. They sing themselves a song. Now, I think the episode. Now okay, no. We're still on this episode. So yeah, Fango is going to listen to Chip and Snip play music over at Grandy's house, and then everybody's cheering for them. They're gonna have a party, and that's when they see. And that's first we see them, and then Hacker starts chasing them. He says, oh man, I'll never catch up after Chip and Snip and Fango goes again. He says, hey Hacker. He says, wait, Fango. Oh, Not again! Yup, Hacker's just not going well today, because Fango keeps, like taking off and getting too far from him. He says, I gotta keep, oh man, I now have to keep chasing him. I'm not that fast. He says, wait a minute. I have a jetpack. That's when we see Hacker, we find out he has a jetpack. or we realize that he can fly, or let's say he's got like rocket feet. He says, I gotta catch up with Fango because he keeps taking off when I'm trying to tell him that the dream gate just opened. And then that's when we have a time card, or it just says, meanwhile at Grandy's house, let's say, or maybe Grandy says, let's say they arrive at Grandy's house, but then Grandy tells them that actually the party's supposed to be over at let's see, whose house should this be? It's actually, let's say this house. Maybe let's say it's over at he says actually the party's supposed to be over at Brandon's and Ovely's house. He says, oh dang, really? I thought it was supposed to be at your house. Get a view of this lake. Get a view of this, like, he's like, says, come on, man, look at this lake. See this lake in the back? Yeah, let's say Grandy's house was in Star Lake, and like, Olvy's says, well, I guess we're going back to Water Tower region, where Chip and Snip lives. Also, Uncle Bernie lives there. He says, Uncle Bernie's there too. We see Dimey's with them, and then that's when we see the battles going crazy. And we see that Fango, and we see Dimey says, ugh, this is one crazy battle. Look at this.
I'm gonna get your shirt.
Fango says. And we see we see that Tori the tornado, or not Tori, we see Granny says, whoa, that is one crazy battle. Well, but let's just focus more on the concert, or the music. Like the party, the concert party, and they're like saying, here we go. And that's when they say, okay. He says, first Marvin sings. He says, I can't sing, man. Or let's say that Logan, let's say that Chip and Snip goes first. He says, wow, they got a big field. Wow, their backyard's like a whole field. Look at this. You guys got a big house too. He says, we certainly do. You see this? Can you see this? He says, yeah, I can even see that left turn signal water tower over there. That's really cool. There's also another one right, like, over there. He's just pointing at it. He says, get a load of this.
Do you want chicken?
Yes, please. Or no thanks. Sorry about that, guys. It's it's someone kind of got in the way, but at least we're all okay. But yeah, they're at their house. They say, what up, people? They're just, we just see that the Medusas were going, well, we don't cut to the Medusas, but we do see them on Dimey's phone before that's when we see them. The scene says,
15 minutes.
Yeah, hold on, sorry about that, someone's doing the wrong thing, someone's interrupting, again, I'm sorry for the interruption, but anyway, yeah, Fango, he's fighting. Well, he doesn't fight them yet. Sorry, we're not on that part yet. We gotta make it through the concert party. And let's say that we first hear Chips and Snip's song. It's gonna be the best song we see. Yeah, first we see them go for a turn. People says, whoa, look at this. People are like saying, dude, woo! I love this song. It's like song no one ever heard before. He says, that's the same song from, I gotta tell you, man, doesn't matter what it's from, but he just tells him that, he says, there ain't no time to tell us what songs are from, we just gotta enjoy the song. What song now it's Grandy's turn. He says, thank you. And that's when we see Grandy get a turn. He says, we see him, and Fango, he says, this is a party, alright. And then Ovi and Brendan are like saying, dang. It's like saying, this is one good song. Hardy's like, dang, I love this song. Freaking awesome. Let's say this was also Hardy's house they were at. He says, and then the strong. Yeah, Hardy lives here too, but yeah. He says, this is good music. Let's say quite a few of the strong ones were here. The mayor, we got a mayor. One of the shapes is a mayor. Let's say he's actually the mayor of Neworth. He doesn't realize that Fango was or let's say he's actually the mayor of let's say he was actually the mayor of Water Tower region area, which yeah, because it's kind of based off of South Carolina. And of course South Carolina has a crescent moon on its flag. That's why he's the governor of, or not the mayor of Water Tower County. He says, yeah, I won't be there for a while. That's Fango says, and then that's when we hear Grandy sing his song. We see that's when we see that what's his name? He's an iPhone. I forgot his name. Maybe that was Austin. Maybe that's who Austin really was. Or no, maybe I think his name is Houston. And then Houston runs up to Fango. He says, "Fango, there's trouble." He tells Fango while Grandy is still singing his song. Fango gets told that there's trouble. He says, "Trouble? What kind of trouble? Is it Lunerboonie trouble? Is that why Hacker showed up? Wait, that must have been why Hacker showed up at... Wait, that must have been why... He says, guys, well, like in the scene where they leave Hacker behind again, he says, guys, I think I just saw Hacker. He says, I just saw Hacker. He says, no, man, there's no... He says, see? He says, see, that's probably why Hacker arrived at my... showed up at my house, or that's probably why he followed me from my house to Chips and Snip's house, and he's probably trying to get here. He says, Fango, oh hey Hacker, man, I'm sorry, man, I didn't realize you were trying to, I figured you were trying to tell me that the Dream Gate opened. He says, yeah, man, let's get you in your mecha suit. He says, haha, and Grandy's still singing. He doesn't realize what Hacker's doing. He says, I'll be right back, guys. And everybody's... And then Hacker... that's when Grandy gets done singing his songs. Did you guys like that song? He says, yep. Hey, guys, before you do anything... And he says, actually, I gotta go. Fango and I will be right back. He says, okay. Oldie's like, okay. How far are they going? Fango's getting in his mecha suit because there's Lunerboonies attacking Neworth. He's, dang. And here comes the Medusa fight. And that's when we see Fango's mechas. And that's when we see this mecha suit. Now this one's also kind of a Cyclops mecha suit. But it's kind of like but this one actually has a lot of guns. That's when we see that's when we see the first thing the mecha suit does. So yeah, the first thing we see is that the Medusas has destroyed parts of Neworth. We see the last thing they destroy is the bridge. We see they destroy the bridge by throwing a storage tank at it from the oil refinery. Then we see them. That's when we see them knock over one of Neworth's main tower, whatever it should be called. And that's when Fango shows up saying in his big mecha suit. We see it appearing. We see it walking through the dust from the destruction they cause. We cut to them go like, huh? And then let's say he's running, and then he charges at them and they go, huh? And then he punches all three. Then we go like, oh! Now, Okay, and that's when the fight gets crazy. Gets crazy, not just any ordinary crazy, but it's like getting like crazy, crazy, crazy. Craziest fight you can ever imagine. Sorry, it's just kind of funny when you think about it. Very funny. Now, this is another type of tower that I made up but haven't put on my channel yet. It's called a traffic light tower. It's like to show you where there's a traffic light. So they're only half the size of a water tower. They're like under like at least the size of the tank, and they're like, yeah, you'll see a lot of them because they're like usually like parts of the traffic lights. They're pretty tall, but they're like only the size only like the size of a, I wouldn't say they're the size of a pine tree. They're like half the size of a water tower, sort of. But yeah, and then that's what Fango uses to defeat these things. First they fight back, which causes more destruction. They try to, we see that they turned a few of the strong ones into stones, and now then Fango says, "Ah!" He saves each one. Then they start throwing debris at him. He kicks it around. He's like, "Huh!" They're throwing things at him, and then Fango's like, "Not so fast!" And that's when he puts the strong lungs on top of a building. The stone, like the strong lungs, turn into statues due to the Medusas. That's when he points his fists at them, and then the sides of that's when the fists opens up, and then rockets come launching out of them. And then we see, or let's say actually there was machine guns in them. No. Let's just say there was let's say there was let's say it's like an explosive frisbee. Let's say it was like a frisbee bomb, like that. The fist opens up, and then there's this frisbee bomb that comes out of them. They go like, phew, and then there's this and then that's when that's when the head lifts. Like the head just kind of lifts, and then the head lifts, and that's when we see rockets come shooting out of it. We also see the chest opens up, and there's rockets coming out of it too. Let's say there's actually these cannons, they're like naval guns. Like the chest opens up, and then these 3 cannons comes out and shoots at them, and each cannonball's hitting each Medusa. They're going like, ouch, That's when Fango uses his laser eye. He goes like, ah! He does he does it in zigzag pattern. He does so he could hit all 3 Medusas. He's like, and that's when Fango grabs the traffic light tower, and then that's when he uses it. Once they see him coming, that's when he whacks them with it, and then they fall. They actually stack on, and he kicks them. They're on top of each other, and then we see 2 one's on top of the other. The one on the left. Now the one you see on the left, the one who he gets up, but the other 2, the one that you see in the middle and the one you see on the right. Now those 2 Medusas, they're knocked out a little bit, and that's when we see the one that you see on the right try and help them, but then that's when Fango spares all 3 of them with the tower. He goes like, ugh. That's when, and then they are just like, ugh. At least he was holding, let's say he picks them up, but at least they all, but hey, at least it's one way to at least that's one way you can die with your friends. At least he was holding on to his friends before both him and them died at the same time due to Fango, but they had to die because they were destroying New Earth. I know they may not look evil. Well, maybe not the one on the left. I know he doesn't really look evil, but you'll find out he is because he's... Well, they're not truly evil. They were just forced to be evil. And then Fango... And after Fango spares them, he returns to the part. He parks his mecha suit. That's when we see him. He says, "Dang, that was one. Now that was a quick fight." Huh. Yeah, you can see his mecha suit. I want to show you how cool this mecha suit is, because like, you see like the rockets. Let's say rockets comes out of the fist. It's like when the fingers opens up, like the fist, like the fingers opens up like this, and then rockets comes out of them. Let's say rather than a frisbee bomb coming out of them, and then the chest, and then there's cannon bombs in the chest. And it's just so cool just to see these mecha suits work. It's a really funny show. That's why I like this idea so much. But yeah, after he defeats the Medusas, he says, "Now it's time to return home." Well, not... Hacker says, "Wait, what about the party?" Fango says, "Oh yeah, I guess we're not returning home until the party's over." And yeah, we'll find out that the party's not over yet. He says, and then Hacker says, he contacts Houston and asks him if the party's over yet, and Houston says, "No, this party ain't supposed to last for like another 3 hours." Fango says, "Oh, we still have time." He says, "Good." And he says, "Oh yeah, all we have to do is park your mecha suit back where it was parked, and that's when we can go back to the party." And that's when we just cut to the party. Okay, knew that car was probably coming from right out. Sorry about that. A car distracted me, but not for long, because I'm still at least concentrating on this for the most part. So yeah, Fango gets back. So yeah, but we don't see him park his mecha suit, because we actually just cut past that time. We just cut to the party. We see like they show back up, and like and that's when Hacker shows up. He says, "Fango, you're back." Fango says, "See, I knew you could we could finish the party." We see them still partying. He says, and that's when Chip and Snip asks, "Now how did the party go?" That's when they're playing live music. He's like saying, he says, "Oh look, it's your song. Hey, yeah." Or let's say it's actually another song. Let's say it's a song called "Do It." The hero actions and strong lungs. Or no, it's a different song. I'll tell you like which song is which. Some I actually made up, while others I'm actually... You'll understand. Some I'll just make up. So yeah, we see that they're having fun. Let's say there's like, this is a different one. Let's say it's like a rock song they're listening to. Don't interrupt. Sorry about that. So yeah, they're listening. So yeah, we see them like, we only see this for like 10 minutes, and then that's when we get a time card that says the next day. We see Fango's back at home, and then he says, that's when he's watching the live news, and he says, he's watching a TV show with Dimey and Axel and Austin, and then that's when they're watching the TV, and that's when they're just watching something random. He says, yesterday was pretty crazy, and that's when we see, but hey, at least it wasn't as bad as the lizard lady fight. He mentions the fight with the lizard. Yeah, he mentions the fight with the lizard lady, this girl who he mentions this lady, but even though this is the Medusa episode. But yeah, anyway, but then that's when they're program gets interrupted by the news. It says, we interrupt this program and to tell you about Fango's other spectacular fight. Fango says, oh boy! And it's the best, it's another one of the bestest fights I could ever imagine. Look at this. He defeated 3 Medusas with a traffic light tower. One was, like, 2 just stacked, like, one fell on another, and then one picked up both of them. As he was trying to hug both of them, that's when Fango snuck up behind them and spared all 3 of them through the chest and the back. And he says, and everyone was like, and the person, like, the people who weren't infected by it were just so, like obsessed with it. He says, oh my god. Yeah, I just liked what I did there, too. He's like, that was the best thing I ever done. He says, that was the funnest thing I ever done. Everyone was saying, that's the best thing I ever seen. That's the best. Like, people says, that's the bestest Lunerboonie fight ever. And everybody says, and then that's when the governor of Strong says, he says, now, we cut to him, he says, man, he, like, running up to Fango's house with his reward. He says, no, man, Fango, that was a big fight. That was the best one. Fango definitely deserves a reward for this fight. And then he shows up at Fango's house. He says, hey, Fango! Oh, it's my reward! My reward! Woo! And he cheers when he opens it. He says, we got it, guys! And then Dami says, wow, well done, Fango. And then that's when the episode ends.